introducing ourselves. I'm Roz, and I'm from Anon Family Groups Australia. I'm the Deputy General Secretary. Welcome to be here. Thanks.
Yes. And Helen from Anon Family Groups, and I'm the General Secretary for Anon Family Groups in Australia. Our head office is in Melbourne, but we have 9 other areas around Australia. So yeah, thanks for allowing us to be part of the group.
Thank you both, and looking forward to your presentation later on. Anne-Marie.
Hi everyone, thanks for welcoming me. I am based at the Centre for Alcohol Policy Research at La Trobe University in Melbourne, Victoria. I do a lot of work on looking at alcohol's harm to other people. So I guess I've always been interested in how those other people are affected and how they're assisted. And so I was really excited when I went to APSAD and saw all of the, the great work that's going on in this space in terms of particularly, it seems, treatment and peer support. But I'm also interested in sort of thinking about the policy implications and prevention, and how do we research, how can I do better research? Not to understand, well, we can always understand more about the harm, but I'm really interested in finding out, looking at interventions. Is it bystander interventions? Is it intimate partner violence? Is it, how can we work more in the prevention and policy space, as well as the treatment and brief intervention space, to kind of, assist people who have been affected by other people's alcohol or other drug use? So yeah, thanks for letting me join.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Next, Alison.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Alison Beck. I'm a postdoctoral research fellow at Uni of Wollongong, clinical psychologist by training, so spent most of my career sort of one foot in research camp, one foot in clinical practice, primarily with adults with experience of alcohol and other substance use. A lot of my work for research has typically been within sort of treatment and support settings. So I've done a fair bit of work within mutual support settings, just trying to understand more about what people access and how we can potentially do a better job to sort of have people live the lives that they want to.
Thank you. And next, Rob.
Sorry, me? Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Rob Campbell. I'm the Program Manager of Family Drug and Gambling Help at Sharks Health Addiction Resource Centre. We're based in Melbourne, in Carnegie, and we run a number of statewide programs for supporting families based on a peer support model. And we have a helpline that's staffed by trained volunteers with lived and living experiences of affected family members. And we have support groups and education programs as well. So great to be here. I actually have to pop out at 10 to 1, but then I'll be back in about 20 minutes. So I'll have to, but I'll be back.
No worries, Rob. You can always catch the recording for that.
Yeah, well, I noticed that. That's handy.
Yeah. All right, and next we have Mark, sorry. Sorry, Mark, I can't hear you. Mark. Should we come back to you, give you a minute, and see if you can get the headphones working? All right, Pauline, we'll jump over to you.
I'm Dr. Pauline Stewart, and I'm a psychologist, founder of Family Drug Support Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm working with impacted family members throughout New Zealand, mainly delivering our services via telehealth, especially the 5-step counselling program. We've had several of our accredited practitioners trained from La Trobe in the single session consultation, but most of our work is around counselling with impacted family members. And it's lovely to see some of the people that I met when I presented at the ASPIDS conference in Canberra.
Thanks, Pauline. And Sally, next.
Hi everyone, I'm Sally Bruce. I'm the Senior Coordinator for Odyssey House New South Wales Community Program. So I support our community program team across metropolitan Sydney to support those who are currently using substances, but also a new addition to our program has been our family and friends support program. So we're currently running that across community programs. So there's been an increase of referrals for that. So we're really excited, and I'm really excited to be here with all of you because I just had such a great time at ABSAT and meeting everyone. So yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Sally. Yeah, great to have you on board. And Marcus sent a message through just saying, hi, I work in our community-based AOD service and deliver a support group in the evening. So thanks, Mark. Good to get over the tech difficulties that we're always having. And for families using Craft and ITC as well as Smart. So a few different things going on there, which is great. Next, where was I up to? Sharon.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. My name's Sharon Dorr, and I'm a professor in clinical psychology at Griffith University, and I've been in this field for about 30 years, doing a lot of work around mental health, parental substance misuse, impacts on children, and I'm involved with developing and training practitioners in a program called Parents Under Pressure.
Thanks, Sharon.
And a number of people I haven't seen for many years. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, great to have you on. And I will note I'm lucky enough to have Sharon as one of my supervisors as well. So it's been great having her on my team. Next, Heather.
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Heather. I'm a social worker and family therapist with the Cicada program at Sydney Children's Hospital Network.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather. And then last, apologies if I mispronounce this, is it Inidi?
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, hi, I'm Nidhi and I work with Acacia, which is a youth drug and alcohol service in the Northern Sydney Local Health District. So today's the first time I'm attending this. Very excited to learn more about this community of practice. Thanks.
Great. And welcome. And yeah, thank you all for joining. We do have a lot of new faces in the meeting today, so it's great to have everyone here. So the first item on the agenda is just a few sort of updates. As has been mentioned a couple of times, a few of us had some presentations at the ABSAT conference about a month ago, I think it was now. So we actually had 2 dedicated family sessions on the agenda this year, which was great to see. So in the first session, Claire and myself presented on our own research in single oral sessions, and then we had a symposium discussion session. So in that session, we had Claire and Pauline, as well as Sally Boardman and Heidi Gray, who were 2 other members of the group, all presenting on different support services and interventions for family members. And then we had a really great discussion session that Julie chaired. We had some really good chats about the different interventions that were available. And yeah, it was really good to have that kind of conversation that has been lacking from AOD, well, ABSAT in particular, but yeah, a lot of these sort of spaces. So that was really great. And then on the second day, Pauline, Julie and Jessie, who's also a member of our group, hosted a workshop on the 5-step model. I don't know if you want to quickly say some words on Pauline, how you thought that went.
Thank you very much, Paige. I was really delighted. There was 40, 50 people there. They were really engaged. They were really interested in how we provide that program within New Zealand nationwide. And the 35 accredited practitioners we've got all over New Zealand, and they asked lots of really good questions. I had lots of people following up afterwards. So yeah, I was really stoked. It was really good.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Claire and I were also participants in the workshop, so it was great to be on the other side of that as well. Claire, did you have any thoughts on ABSAT or anything you wanted to share?
I think it set a nice precedent. I think we should keep going with it and keep getting lots of abstracts in for the next conferences that are coming up.
Definitely.
I think on that as well, just wanted to mention, I'm not sure if everyone here is aware of AFINet, the international family and friends organisation that's set up by a group in the UK. So they've got an annual conference that is alternately run online and in person, and they've just opened the abstract submissions for next year's conference as well. So I can put the link to that in the chat if anyone's interested in having a look or making a submission.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Sharon and Pauline both on the keynote speaker list for that conference next year.
Yes, I'm one of their speakers. It's an amazing conference. Can I just say, anybody who's interested in impacted family members, I presented 3 papers at Rotterdam last year, and it was just a wonderful opportunity to speak to so many services from the UK, Scotland, everywhere around the world, Mexico, Italy. It was really, amazing. So if you can go to Quebec, the end of May, I'll say hello, and also it'll be a great conference.
Yeah. Yeah, great. I'm definitely planning on submitting, so hopefully I can make it over there and we can all have a little get together while we're there.
Yep.
Can I just quickly jump in? NADA have just opened up their abstracts as well, so I can pop a link for that too. People may already be aware, but just in case.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for that, Alison. I did get that email myself as well. Looking forward to that as well. And yes, just on AFINet. AFINet they also released a newsletter. I think it's every couple of months potentially. And Julie is in quite frequent contact with the people who organise AFINet, and she's given them a bit of a summary of, similar to what I just said for the APSAD presentations that we had. So they will be putting something about the APSAD presentations in the AFINet newsletter. But when Claire, Julie and myself were discussing it, we thought, well, if we've got this written, we should be making our own newsletter and telling all of you people what's happening as well. And so we thought potentially if anyone has any research or updates or anything that they wanted to mention in a newsletter, perhaps that, isn't worth having a whole discussion in a meeting, or any, requests for things or anything like that, we were thinking we could potentially create a newsletter and maybe have it on maybe the month that we're not having the meeting, we can have a newsletter or something like that. We're definitely teasing out how that would work. But yeah, I just wanted to get everyone's thoughts on that as well. What do we think? Can we see some nods?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's always the work involved in pulling it together and getting it out. But
yeah.
Great concept. Yep.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to have to try and think of a process to make that as easy as possible. Yeah, maybe making some sort of template. I'm not sure. Maybe that's project for the new year. But yeah, it's good to know people are interested, and hopefully we'll be willing to contribute some things if we've got some things popping up. I think. Oh, the only other thing that Claire and I were thinking of discussing is one of the members of the group has informed us that Thursday is not the best day for meetings for them. So we were thinking it might be a good idea to alternate the meeting days, just so if there's people where Thursdays don't work, they don't have to miss out every single time. So I might just send an email around to the whole group with a little poll in it, just saying like Monday to Friday, which days will work best for you. So if everyone can just reply to that once it comes through, and then in the new year we can work out another scheduling system for everything.
Can I just give a little plug to the Kettle Brewing Society meeting too? That's a social and epidemiological research meeting, but for that you have to present a paper. So you submit a paper earlier, and it really, if you're doing research or doing a PhD, it's a really good sort of way to kind of give yourself an external deadline, a timeline. You submit the paper and then you get paired with another person who might be in a similar area of research to you, and then someone sort of discusses the two papers together, and you get feedback before publication. So it's kind of a really nice conference. It's not too big, about 200 people, but if you're interested in alcohol research more generally, Yeah, all of you from this space would really fit nicely in there too.
Yeah, awesome. I hadn't heard of that, so I'll personally have to look it up. Was there any other updates or anything that people wanted to give before we get into the Al-Anon presentation? Or any questions about anything we've been discussing so far? Not.
I've just put a link in the chat as well to I know the recordings from the most recent AFINet conference are now up on YouTube, and I've just put the link in there so you can have a look at them in your own time if you're interested.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Claire. All right. Well, I think it's time to pass over to Helen and Roz from Al-Anon, who are going to give us a presentation, and then afterwards we'll have lots of time for discussion. So if you have any thoughts or questions pop up, feel free to keep them in mind for later on. All right, I'll hand it over. Thank you.
Paige, can I just check, is there a Sophie in the room so far? Is there anybody, have we got anybody else come in? Sophie or?
We've had Nicola come up. Apologies, Nicola, you missed our round of introductions. That's the only additional person I can.
Kate. Kate is a speaker of ours. And
Yeah.
there'll be somebody else coming in who's going to call herself Sophie. So we'll just wait and see when she comes in. Right. All right, we'll start. Hang on. Can I share the screen? Share. There we go.
Right, Al-Anon family groups. Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic. This is one of our posters that we use and pull-up banners that some groups and districts used to let people know that Al-Anon is around and what it's for, and the phone number and the website. So Al-Anon was started in America in 1940 by the families of alcoholics who were sort of hanging around the AA groups, who were about 10 years old by then, and began to realise that they needed to organise themselves as separate from the AA. And so it's over 70 years old in Australia, and we have about 400 meetings, and there's 28,000 worldwide, and both online and face-to-face. And they're open for anybody who is concerned about someone else's drinking. So we use the 12 steps adapted from Alcoholics Anonymous, and but we're not affiliated with them or any other organisation, and we're funded by our own voluntary contributions, members only contributions, and the sale of our literature. We have quite a lot of books and pamphlets with members' stories that are written by the members themselves and their stories.
So what will you find in Al-Anon? You'll find a mutual support program for people who are living or have been living with a problem drinking, and it's important for us to specify that it's not important that that person is still alive or that they're still in a close relationship with them. So it could be a parent that's passed, it could be a relationship that's been long over, but we understand that that effect can last for a lot longer. Our primary purpose is to help families and friends who have been affected by someone else's drinking, whether they're sober or not. Sobriety doesn't necessarily bring happiness into every home. So helping members to understand the effects of alcoholism on them is a very important part of Al-Anon. We have an opportunity for members to speak with others with similar experiences. Everyone in Al-Anon, everyone involved in Al-Anon service, all have lived experience. So it's important that that's a big differentiation for us, that everybody in the meetings, there's no professionals in the meetings running the meetings, it's all just peer support. And anonymity is obviously very important, and we abide by that principle, and we'll have two people sharing their life experience today, but they'll have their cameras switched off for exactly that reason. So what happens in an Al-Anon meeting? If you go to an Al-Anon meeting, you'll be given a newcomer pack, which has some information in there, some pamphlets, information about where local meetings can be found. Every meeting's different. We suggest that new members try 6 meetings before they decide if Al-Anon's for them, because they're all chaired by a different person, they have a different feel. Most meetings go for an hour and a half. That applies to both our face-to-face and our online meetings. Huge variety of topics. Everybody can share, or if you don't want to and you just want to listen, that's okay as well. And we'd welcome any professionals who want to attend a Al-Anon meeting. If you're keen to do that, just let us know and we can organise that for you. We only use Al-Anon literature, but all our literature is written by members. Again, it's not written by professionals, it's written by members from their experience of living with and dealing with alcoholism. So we have literature that we use at home and in the meetings. We're a spiritual program, not a religious program. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to believe in any particular religion. But we do find that members' recovery is assisted by them having an understanding that there is a power greater than them. It's about this powerlessness that they have over alcoholism. We have a set of traditions that we use in our meetings and in our structure and in our service that help make the meetings a safe place for people to be. We don't want to know the details. We don't want to know anything other than their first name. And the other reason for that is that makes us all the same. It doesn't matter what qualifications we have, what car we drive, where we live, those kind of things. That these are all the things that can often divide us. There's just an example of some of our Al-Anon literature. We have about 20 or so books and, I don't know, 50 or so pamphlets. We have specific pamphlets that are aimed at professionals. Again, if any of you are interested in any of those, we are very happy to send those to you. What's the focus of Al-Anon? It's about sharing their experience, strength, and hope. It's about understanding the principles of their lives. Sorry, is this one yours? And learning about the disease of alcoholism. We know a lot of professionals don't like the term disease of alcoholism, but we talk about the family illness, about how families are affected by alcoholism. And that point there about how it affects behaviours of people around them and understanding that is really important. Drugs aren't a focus of us. For us, Al-Anon is about families who are affected by somebody who has a problem with alcohol. But it is really important to understand that the process is the same. So if somebody comes into an Al-Anon meeting and talks about an issue of drugs with their family, they are very welcome. Outside issues such as politics, religions, and other helping professions are not discussed in the meetings. If people need professional help, we are very happy and encourage them to do that, but that's not the focus of the time in the meetings. I mentioned before about the literatures written by our members, and we don't give advice. We're not professionals. We don't say, you know, leave the so-and-so. That's for members to figure out for themselves, but understanding and listening to other people's experience can often give them the strength to do what they need to do. All right. So Sophie is in the room, so we can do this. You want to do this slide and then ask Sophie to speak?
So who attends Al-Anon? Anyone who is affected by someone's problem drinking. It could be the spouse or a partner, parent, or a child. If they're teenagers, they may still be going to Alateen, or even as adults in their 20s might still come to Al-Anon, feeling that they're not launching into life as well as they could be, and understanding that it might have come from the effects of having grown up with an alcoholic. Could be a work colleague or a friend, grandparent or another relative, siblings. They may come when their alcoholic is already sober or not even with us anymore. And they no longer live or have any contact with the alcoholic, but they recognise that their lives aren't working.
We've got a member, Sophie, who's only available for a short period of time today. So we might ask if you guys are okay to, I might just stop sharing there for a second. If we can ask Sophie if she wouldn't mind giving us her story. Sophie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Helen.
Thanks, Sophie. If you can just tell us briefly about what brought you to Al-Anon and what life's like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came to Al-Anon, I think it was about 2 years ago for the first time. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, all good.
I was brought to Al-Anon. My husband had come out of rehab. I think it was probably a few months prior. And I remember when he was in rehab, I kept asking for support. I kept saying I need some sort of counselling or something for myself to know how to deal with, what he's going to be like when he comes back from rehab. And it was really strange, but no one mentioned Al-Anon at the time. And my husband came home and he said something about Al-Anon, and I was like, well, I don't want to go to anything. I don't need a support program. I just want some counselling, you know. And so I was very reluctant to go to Al-Anon for that reason. So I think I did maybe a couple of online meetings just to see what it was all about, because I was a bit put off, I suppose. I heard some things about AA and I wasn't sure if it was for me. So anyway, I waited another few months, and when I came through those doors, I was actually like in a state of desperation. I've said this before. I feel like I crawled there on my knees. I was just in the lowest of the lows. I felt my husband was, he'd resumed drinking. Rehab seemed to have failed. And I think I went there hoping that I could get him sober. I was like, well, surely these people have got a solution for me to get him sober. And yeah, I think I was really surprised by what I found, because when I walked in, I was, an absolute mess, in tears. But everybody was so happy. And I was like, what, are these people here for the same reason as me? Like they're really happy. And how can they be happy when they're living with alcoholics, or they've had alcoholics in their lives? And that kind of gave me hope. And that's, I was told to go to 6 meetings before I decided if it was for me or not. And I'm really glad that I kept going, because after the first meeting, I was like, I don't know if these people are like, are they all right? How can they be so happy and satisfied with their lives when they've got so many challenges? And after 6 meetings, I was like, okay, this is the place for me. I could already sort of see that the program is really about empowering us to see the choices that we have to make for ourselves, and I guess taking the focus off the alcoholic, because my whole world had become, it was revolving around him and his actions. And I had, unknowingly become, I guess, a bit of an enabler, very codependent. I didn't even know what codependent was at the time. And then I realized that was what I was. And that wasn't really something Al-Anon talked about so much. It was more something I discovered for myself. But in Al-Anon, I realized that, I actually followed these 12 steps, which are the same ones AA uses, just slightly adapted for family and friends. And by following the steps, I have come to have a much better life. My husband's still drinking, and I can say today that I'm happy whether he's drinking or not. I feel like I'm so empowered to make the right choices for myself in a given moment, and it is literally moment by moment that I live my life now. I don't, I guess, focus so much on the future. When I came in, I was like, right, I've got a year. I'm going to give it a year. I'm going to fix him in a year. And now I'm like, you know what? I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I know that I can handle it. I can handle it because I've got Al-Anon. I've got a program that I can work. The answer to whatever struggle I'm having is always somewhere in this program, whether it's in the steps or the slogans, in just picking up the phone and calling another member. Most members, I feel like, know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's really, when you've lived this, I feel like I hear my story being told all the time in meetings, and I'm just like nodding my head going, yep, that's me, that's my life experience. And it's so, I guess, encouraging to hear from other people how they've navigated the same struggles that I have. When I came in, I didn't think I had any choices. I was like, it's just, I'm stuck here. I've got kids with this man. I can't leave him. I can't do anything. If I leave him, my kids are stuck with this, and now I'm like, well, who says I have to leave? I don't have to leave if I don't want to leave, I love him. And I believe that it's a disease now. I didn't realize that coming into Al-Anon, that it's a disease. I have so much more compassion now for my husband than when I came in. I was angry, resentful, and bitter, and kept pointing the finger and blaming him, for all of our problems. And now I've realized that the more I take responsibility for myself and the things that I can change, which is just myself really, the better off my whole family is. So, as much as I'm not responsible for his alcoholism or his actions, I find that, I can contribute either negatively or positively to the dynamic in our home. And yeah, that's just incredible. Like that, it's just amazing. So yeah, I remember, I'll just say one thing about God, because I was a little bit worried at the start. I was like, oh, I'm an atheist, I don't know, how am I going to get past this God thing? But I've come to realize that it's actually not so much about, the God that I was raised with. It's just about having faith in, that there is someone out there looking after you, And I, as I said, was an atheist when I came in, and now I have absolutely no doubt that someone or something has my back, because of Al-Anon. I've seen miracles happen. Like, I genuinely have seen miracles happen because of this program. So, I just sort of laugh at myself talking, because I'm like, 2 years ago I would have been like, what? How? That's ridiculous. But yeah, the power of this program, it's just amazing. It's changed my life for the better. It's changed me for the better. Like, I feel like I'm a better person because I found this program. I came in, thought I had all the answers to everyone's problems, including my own. And now I know that I may not, and that's okay, because, the solutions to problems often come when I can sit back and pause and just listen. And that's what, Al-Anon meetings give me, is that space and time to pause and just listen and learn from others' experiences. It's amazing, honestly. I don't know what I did before Al-Anon. I don't know how I got through things. I really don't. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Sophie. Really appreciate you coming in today. And we know that you can't stay very long, but thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Okay. I'm just going to go back to screen sharing, and we'll continue with the presentation. And then if we've got time, we'll ask somebody else to share. Is that one? Yep.
So we also have Alateen. So what is Alateen? It's a program for the young people between, say, 13 and 19, whose lives have been affected by someone else's drinking, often the parent. They share their own meetings, and they share their experience, strength and hope with each other, and encourage and support their peers. But each meeting also has 2 adult members who are sponsors, who've been certified as having met minimum safety requirements and working with children check or equivalent. And the sponsors must be present for any Alateen meeting to take place. Usually Alateen groups will meet at the same time and venue as the Al-Anon meeting, but they also do have online meetings. And we have literature specifically for the Alateen members, which is also really good for adult people to read as well. They really explain things in good, simple language. So yeah, let's start.
Yeah, okay. We thought would be of particular interest to this group is a membership survey that we did a couple of years ago. We do this about every 3 years or so. We survey our members and ask them questions, and we ask them a whole bunch of questions, some of which are more relevant to us internally, but there are some that we do post for professionals. So we thought we'd share some of those with you. So what's the age and gender breakdown? Predominantly female. That figure hasn't changed for us for many years. And the age range here, we have had recently a growth in this area of age range, which is kind of encouraging for us. But this is a sign of, there's no age discrimination in terms of alcoholism and its effect on others. So that's sort of the truth for us as well. The next one is about location, about where our members are. So the vast majority of people live in a city or a major regional town, but we still have a lot of members in the country, and COVID was kind of a good thing for us that helped us get online very quickly. And we have quite a few online meetings now, and we also have some hybrid meetings where we have both a combination of face-to-face and online. So you can see here that we have about 20% of our members attend online meetings. But some of them live, quite a distance away from some meetings, so that allows them to do online meetings. And we have a real good split of members from around Australia. Not as many in the Northern Territory, but that's just reflective of the population there as well. How did our members first hear about Al-Anon family groups? This is always of interest to us. And still our number 1 referral is from other Al-Anon members, but pretty close behind is from AA. AA can see the benefit for recovery for them through the 12 steps, a bit like what Ros was talking about in the very first slide, that those 12 steps have worked for a lot of people in getting sober. So applying those steps to the family members kind of makes sense. But professionals, GPs, doctors, counsellors, that kind of stuff, here, another 12-step members, relative or friend who isn't in a program, we often find a lot of people come along to Al-Anon for a short period of time, understand that it works, but don't continue going, but they are still pretty good advocates of the program, which is great. There's some that we get through the media, community services groups and things like that. The next one.
So how many cumulative years of membership have members of Al-Anon had? So there's 67% thereabouts have had over 20 years in Al-Anon. And quite a few is, you know, between 1 and 5 years. So they're still staying. There's a little bit of a drop there at 6 years, but they often do come back. Quite a few of those do come back after a little while. So this is about, are they also members of other 12-step programs? And 16% are. And then a lot of those, 21%, are Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. But then we do have members who have had a look at Gamblers and Anon and Overeaters Anonymous. And the other is, you know, there's sex addicts and finance ones and codependent ones and all sorts. So they've often had a look at quite a few.
And that's the same question, except for have you been?
Have you been moved?
Yeah. Looks similar. Have you been a past member of another 12-step program? So again, there's a proportion of people who have had a look at some of those other programs.
And do they access other support services? And 40% have, and most of those do see a psychologist or counsellor. And so we don't have any opinion in Al-Anon about that, but we often say that if you feel that you do need additional help, there's no reason Al-Anon can't fix everything. Mental health, it helps behaviours and attitudes and perceptions and application of those, but any really serious mental health issues would need someone else. So about 54%, 56% of our members will attend one meeting a week face-to-face, and 35% of our online members go each week. And then 18% will go for face-to-face 2 meetings or more a week, and 12% will go to 2 online meetings or more a week, and quite a few actually do both. So, but still 80% are preferring face-to-face. But yeah, so it's good continuous sort of reinforcement of the issue principles of the program. What are the preferred type? Well, the preferred type is still face-to-face, nearly 80%, but the electronic is growing. And the main reasons for wanting to go to face-to-face is companionship and catching up. And often after meetings, there's a little bit of cup of tea time and more private chat in little groups. And we can talk a little bit more about how to help someone one-on-one. And so the better recovery is that doesn't happen so easily online, and the fellowship side of it, and hugs.
And we know that, you know, living with an alcoholic can be a very lonely process. So having other people who understand is often what members talk about, you know, that they can talk to their friends who aren't affected by someone else's drinking, and they say, what's the problem? He's the one with the drinking, or she's the one with the drinking problem. But coming into Al-Anon, they know they're surrounded by people who truly understand. So that's a very common comment.
Why did members first join Al-Anon? Well, the main reason is the partner, ex-partner, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, 59%. And then parent or step-parent and the child of, they're the main reasons why people come in the first instance to an Al-Anon meeting. There are friends and siblings and grandparents as well.
Yeah, so the 2 slides here, the one on the left shows the person who first led you to attend Al-Anon, but Then we ask them about the relationships of every other person who alcoholism has had a negative impact on their life. And often it's, you know, it wouldn't be just one parent or it wouldn't be just one family member. It's often there's more than, you know, more than a few alcoholics in a family tree. So they often discover that once they're coming for a while that there are other people in their lives that have had a negative effect on them.
So the alcoholic in the respondents' lives, the initial person that they came in because of, the question is that person still living? And 60% of them are, and 30% of them aren't, and 10% don't know whether that person is or not. And is that person still drinking actively? The purple is yes, the green is no, and the blue is don't know. And did that person that was drinking ever attend a 12-step program? So quite a few of them did. And there's still an element of don't knows there. And the main program, of course, was the AA, or they may have also come to Al-Anon, very small. But NA, Narcotics Anonymous. If they're still living, how often do they have contact with them? So 41% was daily, 17% is weekly, about 9% is monthly, 2% yearly, and 31% only on a needs basis.
Yep. Why they first joined? Did you join because of a problem of a family member was a drug problem? And 32% said yes. And we often find that they too don't need to hang around for very long before they might find a problem of alcoholism in a family that they didn't know. How many people have children? This is interesting for us in terms of our Alateen program. 76 or 77% said they had children, but only a very small proportion of those go to a 12-step program. So that's a bit of an issue for us. We don't quite understand why Alateen isn't huge. We have a huge number of AA members. We have a huge number of Al-Anon members. And if you think about the theory of for every alcoholic, there's at least 8 people directly affected. There should be 8 times as many Al-Anon members as there are AA members. And for all of those kids, there should be a huge amount in Alateen, and there's not. So we don't quite know the answers to those questions, but we did ask them. And if the child does attend a program, what are they attending? And, AA, Al-Anon, and some other ones, a very small proportion attending Alateen. So, yeah, we wish those statistics were exactly the opposite way around. And the outcomes. So we asked members, do this one? The outcomes of members, what they think they get out of Al-Anon from coming, and listening to other members, sharing their experience, strengths and hope is a big one. Tools of the program, using the steps and traditions, opportunity to speak to others, open and confident, and confidentiality about my confidentially. Oh, my mouth, about their experiences. And that's a really big issue for members. They finally say, I finally can talk about these things. No one in the family wants to hear about it. I can talk about what I'm really feeling, and nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to say, no, you can't. Positive role models by the members, another one. Social support, talking to members, encouraging me to take control of my own life. Sponsorship, service, focusing on spirituality. So they're all very positive aspects that people have found from coming to Al-Anon meetings. And do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, this one is a graph of how people felt about their lives before Al-Anon and after. And the purple one is before and the blue line is after. And the things that were being asked were your relationship with the drinker. How was that before and after? So that had gone up. Your relationship with others in general, your feelings about yourself as self-worth, your feelings about your capabilities, your ability to express your needs, your ability to set boundaries, your ability to stand up for yourself, inappropriate manner, your ability to prioritize health and well-being, your feelings of responsibility or guilt in relation to the drinking, and didn't, afterwards they didn't feel as if they were the ones that were responsible. Your need to drink, your need of desire to control other people or situations was much improved, and the life in general was much improved. So along all of those types of living qualities were improved substantially after Al-Anon.
And there's just some of the stats. 59% said that their relationship with the drinking was very unhealthy, but only 6% felt their relationship was unhealthy after attending Al-Anon meetings. 82% surveyed said they reported their relationships with others had improved. 76% said that their feelings about themselves had improved, and 80% said that their ability to express their needs and manage their own health and well-being had improved. So they're pretty good results, we think, and we've done this survey quite a few times now, and that statistic is very similar over every survey that we've done, which is fantastic. There's our contact details, but have we got time to have Kate share for a few minutes, Paige?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, I might just stop sharing there for a second. So, Kate, if you get a chance, if you can come online and share now for us, that would be great.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you okay.
Hi, everyone. My name's Kate, and I'm a very grateful member of Al-Anon. I grew up in an alcoholic home. Both my parents were very heavy drinkers, and I grew up with my older brother and myself. And yeah, our household was pretty chaotic. Our parents were quite volatile. There was a lot of arguing going on. There was a lot of anger and rage, particularly coming from my dad. And so as a result of that, my brother and I kind of tiptoed around our house, trying not to upset the parents. And they were often actually not at home. So we tended to spend quite a bit of time just on our own. But when they were home, it was a pretty scary place, and not a place that is really conducive for a child to grow up in. So, yeah, as a result, I grew up very quickly, and I took on a lot of responsibility in the family, for both my parents and my brother. I was kind of like a 10-year-old who acted like a 40-year-old. I took everything very seriously. I was just often very emotionally overwhelmed by things. My brother and I copped quite a bit of abuse. I really copped all forms of abuse that you can think of, unfortunately. And so, yeah, it took me quite a few years to get over that. So to cut a long story short, my mum walked into the doors of AA about 20 years ago. And I'm so grateful that she did that, because that was the beginning of, our family, our little dysfunctional family, beginning its recovery process. So at that time, after she'd been in AA for a while, she actually came over one day and brought some Al-Anon pamphlets, and I was still pretty pissed off with her, and I was filled with quite a bit of resentment, and I remember just looking at them and kind of scoffing. But I actually, to cut a long story short, about 10 years ago, I went through a very difficult patch in my personal life, and another AA member who is also a family member, my cousin, who knows me very well, said, Kate, you need Al-Anon. She knew my upbringing, and she knew what I'd been through. And by that stage, she'd had about 15 years of AA herself. And she knew that Al-Anon was what I needed. So I took myself off to a meeting, a face-to-face meeting for the first time. And yeah, it was the beginning of something that was just a really very special thing for me to experience. I had felt a lack of love and a lack of acknowledgement in my life. And when I walked in the doors of an Al-Anon meeting, everyone greeted me with warmth and, connection and sincerity. And not only that, they also listened to me, and they listened without judgment. There was no, you need to do this, you need to do that. They just listened. And another part of being in those meetings was actually listening to other people's stories as well. And when I heard other people shared, I could hear my own story in theirs. And I think that was a really important part of my recovery, is just that connection that I started to establish. And I realised that other people had been through what I'd been through as a child. I wasn't the only one. And, I'd walked around on my own for so long, feeling like I was, this shag on a rock and, just disconnected from everybody. And all of a sudden, people got me, and they supported me, they loved me, and we began laughing together. And, it was the beginning of, a really beautiful part of my life. And I really attribute Al-Anon to where I am today as a human being. I've come so far, even though I still feel I've got so far to go. But, things like my self-esteem and, my own, just pride in who I am, are really growing and developing. I feel like I've come out of social isolation. I did a lot of isolating as a child and hiding. And I feel like now I can really, hold my head up high and speak out. For so long I was told to be quiet and not to speak. And now, being in Al-Anon, people ask me what my opinion is and ask me what I think about this and what I think about that. And, these are all really new things for me. And, I feel incredibly grateful. I feel like, I've learned to detach myself from my family. I've learned to, not, have the whole family history carried around with me all the time. That I can free myself from my family, and I can live a good life today. I've learned about self-care and learning how to be gentle on myself. I've learned how to not take myself too seriously, and to, as I said, to laugh and to, enjoy life. So, in so many ways, Al-Anon for me has introduced me to a new program for living. And, the other thing is people think that there's an ending to an Al-Anon, journey, but really it never ends. I know that I need to keep going to meetings, keep working on my recovery, and I need to keep my prayer and meditation up. And if I do all those little things, then my recovery continues. And, I think just finally, I've met some fabulous people in Al-Anon. I've made some great friends. And yeah, I'm just truly grateful for this program because it really has changed my life. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kate. We really appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Kate.
And then just finally, here are our contact details if anybody needs them. You've got our email address and all that kind of stuff anyway. But Okay, that's it from us. Questions?
Great, thank you, Helen and Roz. That was really interesting and very moving as well, hearing the lived experience stories as well. That was a really nice addition, so thank you. And please pass along our thanks to Sophie and Kate as well for contributing. Yeah, I guess we'll definitely open it up to questions if anyone had any. I think I just had one quickly. I know Al-Anon and Nar-Anon are different groups. So obviously one's focused on alcohol and one's on other drugs. I'm just wondering if you could speak to if there's any other differences or anything that makes them distinct, or it's just the different drug focus.
Yeah, I guess I can't tell you much about Nar-Anon is the bottom line, because we don't have any affiliation with them whatsoever. We're quite happy we don't care where families get recovery, as long as they get recovery, as long as they get support. So if Nar-Anon is suitable for families, we certainly encourage them to go. But I believe they're based on the same 12 steps. I think they've adapted them a little bit differently to ours. But that's about all I know about them, really. They buy literature and things from us, but yeah, we don't really have much to do with them. I know they're not as strong in Australia as they were quite a few years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for that. Sorry if you can hear that construction that's just started. I'll just ask a question from Mark that's in the chat, and then I'll open it up to everyone else. So Mark has asked, how is the Al-Anon survey advertised and administered?
So we advertise it internally through our newsletters and website and announcements at meetings and all that kind of thing. So we have quite a good internal network of communication. And then last time we just did a SurveyMonkey survey and just had it posted on the members section of the website, and they could just get in there and do that. Or we actually had it sent out to them because we were really clear about not wanting non-Al-Anon members to participate in the survey. So we've used SurveyMonkey the last few years. Back in the day, we used to do the hard copy survey. So that's how far back our surveys go. But yeah, we're going to try and find a different platform next time. We're probably going to use Microsoft Forms or something to do it. But yeah, that's what we've done. And we haven't had as high a participation rate this last time. When we asked members, they said they were sick of doing surveys. You know, you only have to book a restaurant and you get a survey afterwards. So we're not sure about the process now. But and a copy of the professionals survey, the results of that is on our website on the professionals page, and anybody wants to have a look at that.
Great, thanks for that. That was my other question as well, was I think you mentioned quite early on about some of the resources that you have that are for professionals specifically. I think it would be great to get them up on our Google Drive. So if you have the link and you're able to put them up there, otherwise if it's easier to just send them to me and I'm happy.
Yeah, sure. If I can just really briefly show you our website and show you the page. So
yeah,
this website is just alanon.org.au, because we do have our head office in America's alanon.org. So this is our homepage. You'll recognise that poster we did there. And there's a professionals page here. And we have all sorts of information there. We've got some interviews, and there's the fact sheet for professionals, our families facing alcoholism, and some information here in terms of our membership survey. So there's lots of information here. You know, make yourself familiar with the rest of the website. There's some great resources there. There's a bunch of free downloads that you can get. Yeah, if any of you are interested in hard copies of any of our literature, just please don't hesitate to let us know. We're quite happy to send you some.
Great, thank you for that. Yeah, definitely looks like a great website. I'll have to spend some time getting familiar with it myself. Is there anyone else who had any questions or thoughts or anything?
I've got a question or observation as well. I'm sorry Kate's not here to ask her and reflect on that. I was really struck about the parentified experience that she's had as a 10-year-old, pretty much feeling that she's responsible for her younger brother and obviously her parents. And the Satellite Foundation is one that works with young carers, and it's just a really interesting thing around to what extent are young carers out there, and how would they identify themselves, and how would they get support? And so I guess I've got two questions. One is there an age at which people can come into the your groups? and what sort of, when we think about those who are affected, from your experience, to what extent there are young people who are in that situation? In Kate, it sounds like she went through her life and then in adulthood came to Al-Anon, but has been grappling with this in terms of her identity and formation as a young person from a very young age. We know that, especially in the context of mental health as well, there can be young carers as young as 4 who are really picking up the pieces, helping mum or dad get ready or help make appointments, all sorts of things that they do, which you'd never consider. And it just seems to be a huge area that isn't well, I suppose, understood in terms of the number, and just wondered what your observations were, and also around the age of where people can become involved.
We have an Alateen program, and so they can come into that from the age of 13, and they need to be registered and identified with that one, 13 to 19. And we have a process for that, so we can let you know who to contact for that. Might could put that in the chat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And but even those who have come through that and are over 19, they can come into any Al-Anon group. If the issue with the caring because they were young carers was alcoholism or drugs.
Yeah, we have a high proportion of our members would identify themselves as adult children of alcoholics, which means that they were child of, and for most of those will tell you very similar stories to the one you've just told, and very similar to Kate's, that they grew up in a household where they were responsible, where they did have to put mum and dad to bed, where they did have to get the meals, they did have to get themselves off to school. So that's not that's a very common story in our meetings for adult children growing up in that environment.
Thank you.
Can I just make a comment, Paige? The parentification by young people, the lack of trust, and all the highly researched aspects of being the child of somebody who uses alcohol or other drugs. It's really well researched, and we developed with young people a 5-step youth program, which is based on the 5-step program. And what we have found is that we have to work extremely closely with other services such as youth mentors, youth groups, people where the young people are already established, to have those people work alongside us to help them refer, and then to help them be on the program, and then once they finish the program to carry on with their support. So it's really difficult. We found it's really difficult to get young people onto programs, but once they're on, they love it, but they need support before and after, A, to get on, and B, to carry on with people they trust afterwards.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be such an incredibly tricky population to engage, because if that's all you've grown up with and you don't have that insight and awareness being a small person, how do you know that not everyone else out there is putting mum to bed every night and helping her to go to work the next morning? So it's kind of your normal. So how do you even know to kind of access support unless you're a bit aware and you're a young person? So do you have that insight? And yes, such an incredibly challenging population to engage. I
think where the people that are already working with young people are the key to this. And our programs are for 16 to 24 because of regulations and things like that. So, and because of the counselling, and we do it online, they do it on their cell phone, we send them materials through their phone. So it's actually using the technology also to do it. But it's a very difficult area to work, and not because we haven't got the programs, but because the engagement is quite challenging.
And we have in the past, and we continue to try to take Alateen into the schools and with the health worker at the schools and talk with them and let them know about Alateen and leave information for them, and they can chat to any children that they feel might need a little bit of help. Yeah. And they can have impromptu pop-up, if you like, Alateen meetings after hours and things like that. But we're always working, and we have a look at youth organisations, and we try and go and talk to them as well, Headspace and places like that.
Sorry, Ros, were you saying going into schools is something that you're doing currently? Going and talking to?
We have done in the past. We've had meetings located in school properties.
Yeah.
Don't have any at the moment. The growing child safety laws have made that a bit more difficult. Not impossible, because all of our Alateen sponsors have working with children checks, blah, blah, blah. But often the schools require a lot more process, and we want the kids to be able to come along anonymously, which again becomes a bit tricky. So we used to have quite a few programs in schools. We don't at the moment, but we're often involved in mental health days at schools, and have stands and things there, and have had some pop-up meetings and things connected with schools. But it's another avenue where we're trying to sort of go to the kids. But yeah, it's a tricky cohort. That we don't need. We need somebody to have parents or guardians' permission for them to come to the meetings, and online meetings especially have to go through a fairly rigorous program. But yeah, we don't know how to get them in the rooms, really.
Yeah, no, I think schools definitely, yeah, good idea, but I understand logistically, there'd be a lot involved, yeah. And I think it seems like it's sort of an extension on the issue with trying to get families aware of the services out there in general, which is, I think, a bit of an issue across the board. And then, yeah, if they're younger children and, you know, focusing on other things, it's the next level of complexity, I think. Is there any other thoughts or questions from anyone?
How many groups, how many Al-Anon groups are there actually running at the moment? Because I think you said there was over 400.
Yeah, we've got about that in Australia. There's a survey literally being done internationally as we speak. We just put our numbers in this week, so we'll get the results of that soon. But they're growing. At the conference I went to in America was our international conference. So we've just opened an office in South Korea. There's one opening in Russia. You know, we've got a lot of emerging cultures and emerging structures and things starting Al-Anon groups. So we've been through a bit of a plateau and then a bit of a dip during COVID, but it's growing again now. So yeah, we sort of think there's somewhere in the order of about 30,000 meetings worldwide. But the online meetings have also complicated our surveying system, because a lot of them popped up really quickly during COVID, and they're sort of, some of them are still going but not registered and not connected, so the numbers kind of aren't as clear as they could be. But yeah, we're still looking at that sort of number of meetings, which is pretty cool. And we've got 6 Alateen meetings happening in Australia at the moment.
Are the Alateen meetings being run internationally as well, or is that?
Yes, they are. Unfortunately, because of increase in child safety laws and international laws, some of those have had to change. Like for a while there, Ireland couldn't have any Alateen meetings because of their strict child safety laws, but they're about to start again. And there's a bunch of about 6, I think, online ones run through our World Service Office, and one that's run through Poland as well. So quite a few structures have them, but it's the same problem worldwide, that a lot of the Alateen meetings have dropped off. We used to have like 35 meetings just in Australia not that long ago. So we think that there's some issue going on there somewhere. But you know, the internet is also providing kids with a lot more resources than they had 20 years ago. So you know, we don't mind where they find help as long as they get help.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this isn't really much of a question, but I noticed, I think I always sort of had the idea that, you know, Al-Anon and AA itself were largely peer-based, but I guess I didn't realize how much of it was like based on lived experience. You know, you've got all the facilitators, and even down to creating the resources is based on lived experience. I just think that's fantastic.
All of them. I mean, everyone. Not yeah. So that's and I think that's testament to the power of that. Not having the people who know what they need are the ones who are creating resources. So you know, and to be going, you know, it's 73 years I think in Australia now, and AA are about to celebrate 80 years next year. They've got a big conference in Sydney. So you know, it's stuck around and still doing very well and going strong.
Yeah.
There's no facilitators in any group. They're just the members, and then they just share rotation, not a roster, just asking each week who would like a chair next week. So, and they pick the topic that they'd like to use, you know, sort of powerlessness, or pulling out the props, or detachment with love.
Yeah.
Or fear and anger and
or happiness
boundaries or
and
joy.
joy and compassion and forgiveness and all those sort of things.
Yeah, that's great. And I think you're allowing or giving them the opportunity to chair as well, also giving them a bit of that power that perhaps.
Yeah, and a bit of confidence and things as well. But that conference in Sydney that's on in Easter next year, we're going to have an open meeting like we usually do. So any of you or your colleagues that are in Sydney at Easter next year, come on over. We'd be great to see you, and you can come on into as many meetings and things as you like and sit and listen.
Yeah, great. That sounds really interesting. Perhaps an item to put in our newsletter that we're going to be.
There you go. There's your first article page.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Was there any other comments or thoughts or anything from anyone?
No, I'd just like to say that if anyone's ever referring to Al-Anon in any of your paraphernalia that goes out, lists of services and such, to call it Al-Anon family groups, not just Al-Anon, but Al-Anon family groups.
Helps understand the service that we actually provide, which is to the families.
Yeah.
People often get confused with, is Al-Anon just a short name for Alcoholics Anonymous?
Yeah, fair enough. Apologies for not keeping that up throughout the presentation.
That's all right.
We all know now. All right. Well, yeah, thanks again for that fascinating presentation. I think we've had a few people with technical difficulties and conflicts that have dropped out, so we'll get the recording